Welcome to the Lift Your Story podcast with guest Christine Newsome, founder of Brave Woman Life Coaching. Hi, everyone. I am Lorianne. I am that gal from Toronto, Canada, and I'm with.
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to our Lift Your Story podcast.
In this episode, we welcome Christine Newsome, and she's the founder of Brave Woman Life Coaching. Thanks so much for being here with us today.
Well,
yes, thanks so much for having me.
Well, so I'm going to ask you, you're a registered dental hygienist. Do you mind speaking about your wake-up call?
Not at all. So it's on breast implants. So I got breast implants about 5.5 years prior to when I got sick. And about 3 years ago, I almost lost my life. It was a very traumatic time. It was an absolute nightmare, honestly. So there was not a lot of, there was some information about breast implant illness, but not enough, not like there is now. So, I knew something was going on, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. So I was in and out of the ER about 3 or 4 times. Things were just getting really bad. And I felt like I knew I was dying. My body was literally shutting down. There was a lot of invalidation going on with doctors and even with my family, my husband. No one really believed that I was even sick. So I think that was the biggest part, was that when you have the invalidation, you're thinking, well, maybe I am crazy, So I went to doctor after doctor. They kept telling me that, we don't know why you're sick, because with breast implant illness, for some reason, when you have the symptoms, nothing's showing up on tests. So everything is just flying under the radar. So there's like, well, everything looks fine here. I did have an electrolyte imbalance at one point, but they never could tell me why I had that. So just strange things were happening. I was having A1C problems. Now I'm a runner, 5'9", 140 pounds. I shouldn't have A1C problems, right? And just different things were going on that led up to this. And then I just, stuff just happened, and I was just done. I knew that something was going on. And so after the ER, I decided, you know what? I'm not gonna listen to anybody else. I'm gonna go figure out what's going on. So, for once in my life, I listened to my intuition, and I started checking on things. And lo and behold, there was a Facebook group called Breast Implant Illness. And on there, they have a list of symptoms. And I started looking at this, and I was like, wait a second. I have these symptoms, like most of them, because I had 50 different symptoms. 50. Who's got that, right? 50 different symptoms. 50.
That's nuts.
Wow.
So I was like, my God, there's something going on here. So I finally started researching doctors. And I'm like, these implants have to come out. Like I knew after I saw that, I'm like, that's it. These are coming out. So, and that was a challenge, because going to these doctors, there's invalidation going on with these surgeons as well, because they're like, oh, it's not your implants, you're fine. People kind of laughed a little bit, and we could just poke a hole in your implant, just let the saline leak out into your body, and you'll be fine. I'm looking at these people like, what are you, crazy? I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So it took me 5 doctors to find 5 surgeons. I went to 5 different consults, and I finally walked into my last consult. This is a woman. She is a breast cancer surgeon. I walked into her office. She sat me down, and she said, Christine, we're doctors, right? So doctors want scientific evidence that stuff's going on. So I know we don't have that. But she said, I will tell you, I have seen hundreds of women with symptoms just like yours. We take the implants out and they get better. She said, why? I don't know. So at that moment, I just burst into tears, because I was like, oh my God, someone's actually validating the fact that I'm sick with these things. Thank God. And I just kind of felt a little bit better, But she said, we have to get these out, ASAP, because obviously you're having problems and this stuff's getting worse. So it took me about 2 months to finally get in with her and get these out. So I got them out. And the thing with breast implant illness is, just because you get your breast implants out, it doesn't mean that you're going to get better overnight, because this is an illness, right? A real illness. So it took me 2 years to heal.
Wow.
2 years.
And it was, I tell you, it was one of the hardest 2 years of my life. It took everything in me to stay, present and stay in this world, because, you have major anxiety and major claustrophobia. And I mean, I still had some of these symptoms. Like I would walk into Walmart or Target, I'd have like this, it's called blue light sensitivity. I'd walk in there and I would get dizzy and nauseous from the lights. These are the kind of the crazy symptoms that I was getting even after I had the implants out. I mean, there was like, dehydration for no reason at all. I had a lot of breast pain, I had a lot of vision problems, and like there are these, we call these things flu-like symptoms, but I've had the flu before, and it's a different feeling, but it's weird. It's like the flu on steroids or something. But that went on for 9 months. I had that feeling for 9 months after I got the implants out. So, and of course, when you go through these things, I always talk about this because, you'll know who your friends are when you get sick, right? That includes family, husband, friends, whoever. That includes everybody, because I had just about zero support from anybody. Here I am fighting for my life, right? And I'm like, where is everybody? What is going on here? So here I am trying to heal and deal with all this other stuff going on too, these emotional things, from my past. So it was hard.
That's interesting.
But I managed. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that's interesting because you're absolutely right, and it's in so many aspects of life, but definitely with illness. I mean, mine was nowhere near yours, but when there's that disbelief, you definitely do turn on yourself. Doctors say, well, it's stress, and you're going through anxiety, so that's just a side effect of your anxiety. And you're saying, no, I know there's something wrong with me. With me, it was my TMJ.
Okay.
And it wasn't until my dad found an article with somebody with all the same symptoms as me that we figured it out. But up to that point, I think my parents were the only ones that were actually, my dad in particular, believed that there was something wrong with me. But it is a very, you feel very alone.
Very
right?
alone. Yes,
Yeah.
you really do. You really do.
Well,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
was it the actual product that you had, like the chemicals, or do you even know?
Honestly, I don't think they know. Now, I will tell you, there are some things out there about silicone. Now, I had saline breast implants, but the shell is made of silicone. They're not sure it was the silicone itself, but when my surgeon took out the implants, she said, Christine, your body was so inflamed. She goes, thank God we got these out, because that's why your body was shutting down, because inflammation, she goes, was enormous.
Oh my God. It's crazy.
Which-
and they still don't know really, that they haven't put it together, whether it was the silicone, because, and I have heard, and this may be wrong, but that even saline, it's not always like, to leak it into your body. I heard that there's possibility it's very toxic for your
Right.
body. I
Yes.
don't know, but that's what I've heard.
Well, there could be mold in there because, they talk about like the temperature of saline at 98.5. They don't know what it's going to do in there with the body temperature.
Yeah.
But I mean, even things like I would have like heat and cold intolerance were insane. Like I would be like sweating, or I'd be really cold, and they think, oh, it's probably just hormones. I don't think so, because I haven't had that since. Like all these symptoms that I had after the 2 years, I really haven't had anything since then.
You said you were in a Facebook group, and had all this stuff. When you were interacting with those other women in that group, if you said, hey, I've got this going on, did you have 10 of them come back? Oh yeah, that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Plus this, and this.
Yeah. Like 50 would, or 100 would, like they all, because there was like, I think there were only like 40,000 people when I joined. Now there's like 150,000 or something. There's a lot of women on there, tons of women on there, because they're starting to find out, because women have been sick for these things for years, but they never put it together that, oh, maybe it's my implants. But see, I said, if something ever happens to me, and with these, and I kind of read a couple stories, but there wasn't a lot out there. And the doctor's like, oh, it's very rare, that would never happen to you. You're very healthy. Yeah, right. Right. So when I got them out, it was like night and day, like night and day.
So was there somewhat, I know you said that it took 2 years to fully recover, but was there some sort of immediate sort of feeling better or?
Well, so my body stopped shutting down because I was losing my bodily functions. So that stopped, like that's totally eradicated, like that was done. So at least my body was okay. At least these are out. So now we have a level off and then we can heal from here kind of thing,
I know when I had a stent put in, and the doctor tells you, your anything foreign that goes in your body reacts to.
Right.
So, is this safe? Yes, but but be aware that anytime something foreign goes into your body's going to react to it.
They just think it's strange after 5.5 years. Like they think, why did that happen before that? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Yes, they're not sure if it's there's been talk about it could be both, because I know there's some chemicals, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I know I've heard that there could be chemicals in the actual the shell itself that could be causing problems. And the reason why they say to get it out enbloc. Now, enbloc is you have to take the whole thing out with the scar capsule over it at one time, if you can, because apparently things leak in from that shell into that scar capsule. And if that leaks into your body, that can give you a lot of problems. So you want to make sure you get the whole thing out in one fell swoop.
Wow.
And it's called enbloc. It's like a French procedure that they do to get the whole breast out, the whole breast implant out at one time.
Well, I never heard of that, the part along with it.
Right, the scar capsule. Yeah, because anything you put, like Roy said, anything with your foreign in your body, it has to wall off that because it's foreign, so it walls it off from the rest of your body to protect yourself. To protect the body from that foreign object. Which I didn't even know that. I'm like,
that's interesting. I didn't either. That is really interesting. First time I've heard that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they told me that. Now you mentioned A1C a while ago. Were you a diabetic prior?
Never. I mean, the doctor was like, sugar? I'm sorry?
It affected your blood sugar?
It did. And in fact, a lot of women say that. Yeah. And I don't know, because the doctor was like, okay, Christine, you've been fine. And why is your A1C going up? And this is about 2 years after I got the implants. I don't know, you're the doctor. So I wasn't ever overweight, but I lost like 20 pounds just because I just lost it, And so he comes in again, he's like, well, I don't understand this A1C. Why is it still, it was like 5.9, but it was still borderline. He's like, I don't get it. You have no diabetes in your family, you're not diabetic, you're thin, you work out, your diet's really good. So, and since then, it's been dropping every year. So
it was something there.
Something. Yeah. And like I said, they don't know why things are going on, and they still don't know. I think they're trying to do some more research on it, but I mean, you hear women all the time, right? People come out like Clara Crawley. She was in The Bachelorette, and she just had hers taken out because she was sick with hers just a couple months ago. Yeah,
we actually have a lady that was on our podcast that just got hers removed as well. I'm curious though, when you first get them in, just curiosity, are there any, like at the beginning, do you feel any sort of side effects from it? Nothing.
I mean, a little. I think I felt maybe a little bit of like brain fog a little bit or something.
Okay.
But then that got better until I got sick again, and then I started having memory problems.
Wow.
I forget where I was going, like driving down the road, but where am I? Things like that would happen all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you don't hear this, what you're talking about on the news or anything. You might hear about someone that's filing a lawsuit because their implant broke open and they got whatever, that kind of stuff, but nothing like this. I mean, you think this would be all over the news everywhere.
Yeah, I think some people, have been some stories out there, but I think the problem is that because there's no scientific evidence, because there was a doctor in California that did a whole study on this, and she said that there are like 12 symptoms that were common among women with breast implant illness. And, she says that they do go away eventually, But even, even with that, there's no scientific evidence, and that is the problem.
Yeah, so you really can't go up after and say, this just is cease and desist, because there's not enough evidence to do that.
No,
Yeah.
Right.
But you would think if there's 100-something thousand people in the Facebook group, that
Yeah.
somewhere out there would be something, people saying, hey, wait a minute, stop. We're suffering, because of this, don't do it.
They're starting to, I think even the surgeons are starting to understand that it is possible that some women do get sick with their breast implants. And they are finally at least acknowledging that. In fact, the FDA just made breast implant illness an actual illness back in 2019. So it is an actual illness.
Oh, okay.
They did do that. But even so, still so many women, I'm like, every time I see somebody like on the news or so, I'm like, oh, they just got breast implants, because they were, you can just tell, right? So,
Yeah.
But it's sad because I'm like, oh, guys. So back to why Brave Woman Life Coaching came into being is because of all this, And when I got sick, I realized that, my life kind of came up and slapped me in the face, and I didn't love myself. And, I did this, and why was I doing this? So I took a 2-year kind of sabbatical and just really worked on myself, my self-confidence, my self-esteem, just things that had to get better for me. So, I was involved in a lot of toxic relationships, and things like that affect how we feel about ourselves,
That's the other thing too, that it must be, in reality, it's a change. You're getting your breast implants removed. And
Right.
I hate to say it, but I'm kind of glad I never had them. They're always been saggy. They always will be. And so I'm just
It's okay.
I just take it as it is. I'll use my push-up bras if I need to, but I don't care to. But,
Yes.
but there is definitely a physical change in doing that. That would also, I would imagine, be very difficult to get through.
Well, and I also say, we get breast implants because we don't feel good enough about ourselves. We want to change ourselves. And so when you get the breast implants put in, those things don't go away. And when they come out, they don't go away either. You have to deal with the issues that you have going on with yourself to understand, it's that way because, you don't just all of a sudden have self-love again, and you have increased self-confidence because you got your implants out or you got it put in. And that's kind of like a masking the symptoms, if you will.
Wow, that's really well said. I really appreciate you sharing that, really.
Of course. That's my whole behind my business. I had to do that for myself, and now I help other women do that because we are good enough. We should have, our life should be happy. We should be walking down that true path of ours, and we should be there. But so many women aren't, because out of fear, out of self-confidence issues, whatever it is, the inner critic, whatever's going on,
Absolutely.
It's your life reset program.
Yes,
So
that is what I deal with.
So is that a result of what you went through?
Yes, a lot of it is, because I had to go through it myself, and I learned my own principles on how to take care of myself and heal myself. So yes, that is what that is. And it's not just with women who've been through breast implant illness. It's anybody who feels like, my life just sucks, or whatever. It's not going the way I want it to go. And for me, I'll tell you something. Before I got sick with my breast implants, I always had this like void in my stomach. It was something that it was an emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew what that was. But after I got the implants out and I started getting better, and I started working on this whole, I get involved with life coaching, and I got certified and everything, that hole actually went away. And I haven't had it back since.
That's fantastic. Tell us
Because
a little bit about your program.
So my program is about like restoring mind, body, spirit balance. It's about, clearing your emotional clutter from, either, from old movies playing in your head or whatever people have told you about yourself, It's about increasing your body positivity. Intuition, intuition saved my life. Honestly, it really did. So that's a big one for me, because so many of us, I know I should have done that, and I didn't do that, and I didn't listen to myself. So I help women to tap into the intuition and really get your knowing going and really know what you're doing, because we all know, right? We just choose to ignore ourselves sometimes, right?
To our
Yeah.
detriment most of the time, when you ignore your
is.
intuition, and I know
Exactly,
we've gone through it
exactly.
many times. I mean, Roy and I have talked about that. I intuitively knew things and I do it anyway. Roy, it's in men too. I mean, we talk about even when
Right.
you're going and
Yeah.
investing in some sort of business and you know it's not really the right choice, but you do it anyway because it's like,
Right.
ooh, glitter, you know, I'm gonna
Right.
do it, gonna try it, but you knew inside of you that you shouldn't. Yeah.
You get sucked in, right?
Well, we interviewed someone last week that talked about intuition.
Yeah.
You know, and what a difference it was in their life once they realized and took advantage of their intuition.
Right. Yeah, because it's there for us. And actually, I'm an empath, so I even have higher intuition. So, but like I said, I never tapped into it very much either. I was like, oh, you know, and every time I would do something, Christine, you knew, why didn't you listen to yourself? Why didn't you listen to yourself? But, you know.
I sometimes wonder though, like, is there any way to balance? And this sounds really strange, but you know, you've got the intuition, it's right, but it's wrong. And that I think is the hardest part, is when you know it's a good decision, but there's things that are not good about it. Then you kind of need someone like Roy, who's analytical, to say, Roy,
Right. Right.
you really do need somebody to balance that out. So yes, it's a great idea, but deal with it this way, where I can't, as like you, an empath, and I work a lot on my intuition, I can't always, like, I'll just go ahead with it against my intuition rather to find the solution that will be best, you know, for the situation at the time.
Sometimes I just write stuff down and I'll put questions up, like in, you know, somewhere around the house, just so I'll kind of think about it for a while. I'm not big in jumping into things quickly. I always kind of like to take a step back and go, okay, does this make sense? And I try to write stuff down and I do talk to some people about it sometimes, but sometimes I just go, okay, let's see if I can do this on my own. And I kind of just take a pause and go, let's write this stuff down and see, you know, see how it feels.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we may think something is our intuition, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just like a, you know, it might not be the intuition, you know?
Yeah.
So it's hard to know which is, you know, which is the right way, which is part of roadblocks too, by the way, you know? So one thing with this program is getting past your roadblocks. And some people maybe just can't get out of their own way, you know? And so we have to help them jump over those hurdles and go, you can get out of your own way. Just, you know, let's help you. So, yeah.
Yeah, saying I can't do it is not intuition. It's just you're getting in your own way. Yes.
And that goes with affirmations and everything. Yeah, we can talk about that, but that's another topic. Yes.
Have you ever thought about writing a book?
So I'm actually halfway through my book.
Cool.
So I'm working on it. Halfway through. Yes.
Good.
I have
What are you planning on having it done? We'll have to
35,000.
have you back to talk about
Yeah,
it.
we need you to come
Yes,
back.
I would
when
love
you do
that.
the book.
So I'm really pushing for the spring of 2022, like March, April. I just need a little more time. I've got about 30,000, maybe 20,000 words left to write on it. So I'm working on it like once a week when I can. So I'm getting there. Yes. But I'd love to come back and talk about it. That would be wonderful.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Thank you so much for offering that. Yes.
You know, this is really, as a guy, this is pretty interesting to me because, you know, breast implants, you know, you hear good and bad about them, but, you know, to know somebody that's went through what you went through and even not ever even hearing about that from anybody.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
That's eye-opening to me.
Yes.
You know, I would think women looking into doing that might take some pause, knowing what you went through and that 150,000 people went through.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when you're in the moment, it's hard to listen to somebody else, you know, because you're like, I want to get these. And so you have to really take a huge step back and maybe go talk to somebody about them before you decide to jump in and get them done. Yes, I agree.
You would be great for that, even if you could even put it out there. So for anybody, just, and not that you're saying no, but to have,
Right.
at least give them a list of what to think about, and perhaps even, you know, during those sessions with you, you can find, like you said, that self-esteem issue that's causing them to want to have it, rather than saying, hey, you know, and it might change them over, it might help them. I think it would be a great prerequisite, so to speak, to women going to get breast implants. I mean, there's so many prerequisites to so many things, and sorry, I know it's now being negated in Texas, but even like
Yeah.
awful, but abortions, I mean, you
Yeah.
have to go through this big process before you go and get that done. There should be processes for these, particularly because of that. And like Roy said, I can't believe that there's that many women. I didn't realize, I heard about, but I didn't realize that it's that rampant, so to speak, that there's so many women worried
Yeah.
about what
Are
they're
you
going
doing
through.
any public speaking about this?
I'm getting out there because of COVID, it's been tough.
Oh,
So I am signed up with Dr. Hirsch these guys are both in San Diego, Dr. Sayed. They're both plastic surgeons, but I am signed up with them so women can come to me and, or at least, over the phone or via Zoom. And also I do offer a free Brave Women, it's called a Brave Women Blueprint session. I do offer that, and I can offer that to your viewers as well. It's a 60-minute session just to talk about things, and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but we kind of just get an idea of, they can see how I coach, and we can talk about some things during that session too. So yes, I do offer that as well.
well, how can our listeners reach out to you for that?
So they can either call me at 480-269-4897, or they can go to my website at www.bravewomanlifecoaching.com. And they can email me too at Christine@bravewomanlifecoaching.com.
Beautiful.
Great.
This has been fascinating and wonderful. And I'm really, I give you accolades for getting the word out there and
Thank you.
letting women know, and young ladies who have no idea that this could be something that can happen down the road. I think it's very important to be very well educated. I don't know that unfortunately, like you said, that you want it, you get it done without pre-educating yourself on the possible side effects of it. Yeah,
I admire you.
absolutely.
out
Thank
there.
you.
And telling your story. I mean, that's really kind of a personal thing. And for you to be able to share that in order to help people, I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
I made a promise when I was in my darkest hour. I said, guys, if you spare me, I promise I will spread the word. So I kind of have I have to I don't have a choice, but it's good. I love sharing the word. My life purpose is to help other women. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah.
Great calling.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you being here and taking the time to share
Of
this.
course. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And we would definitely like for you to come back when you get your book out, for sure.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I'll keep you in mind for sure.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks
Take
a
care.
lot.
All right, guys.
Christine.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Take care.
You too.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.